contemporary share or permanent transition in visual practice. At the beginning of 21st century, there is in the territory of theoretical discourse a considerable gap between the real, practical role of the comprehension of art on the one hand and the rapidly growing science on the other hand. Research into the fields like philosophy, aesthetic, anthropology, and art history per se do nowadays no longer enable a profound, all-encompassing analysis of the situation in the field of art. Similarly, like art producers are joining in interdisciplinary groups, enabling them to operate in wider scope when engaged in the theory of post-capitalist world. Art theoreticians should join together with scientists of various fields like cybernetic or biotechnology. The synthesis of the subject of art and science may provide answers to the questions we cannot even yet pose today. According to Terry Smith, in the time of globalization, the time where there is a possibility to connect various economic and social transfers, prosperity came about also in the field of art. It winded it, thus giving it a possibility to step onto the path of joining together with social elements of various spheres. With these changes and possibilities to upgrade, art is no longer, like in modernism, part of great utopians. It does not continue the avant-garde tradition. Instead, it, as Nicolas Bourdieu said, settles for creation of micro-utopias. The artist no longer wishes to save the world. He tends to his own garden and this way becomes a researcher. This path leads an individual artist to the need for joining up and making artist-researcher meaningful with the aid of other scientific fields, while also making development of the society possible. A new field of production and presentation of contemporary art is without doubt the web. It renders possible not only globalization but also interaction, meaning that the consumer of images actively participate at the continuous production of the work, making it not only an authorial work of an individual but a collection of affinities, cultural differences on the one side, and the awareness of belonging to something new on the other side. Our era, therefore, reigned by technology and media. Artist productor is changing in conformity with it. Traditional forms of visual art, like painting and sculpting, are giving way to the visual production produced in mixed media technique and, of course, containing all new media technologies. In this way, a kind of high-tech hybrids of different kinds are created, from installation to computer and internet art and interactive installations. This new visual production lives a completely different life from the classic artworks. The majority are not formal or lasting in the sense of material. A new aesthetic is being born, adjusted to the consumer society, adjusted to a blinded consumer. The contemporary visual art practice is strongly integrated in the market system and the form of commodities. When Baudrillard speaks about hyperreality of the contemporary world, simulating the real, thus making it even more real than the real world itself, he places the world as a whole in the context of art, in form of a ready-made. Disneyland exists to cover the real state and real America, which itself is like a kind of Disneyland. Disneyland is represented as something imaginary, in order to make an impression that everything else is real. Los Angeles and America surrounding it are not really real anymore, but belong to the order of hyperreal and simulation. The new practice requires a new man. The new man is not only an object of manipulation, but armed with new knowledge that enables him not only introspection, but also insight into the essence of things, is capable of changing and upgrading this reality. Only in such technicized new world it is possible to establish a really critical distance of the world around. A visual artist often views the nature of this work, a virtual image encoded in the electronic medium, is largely becoming uninteresting as a market element. His work cannot be hung up on the walls of representative buildings, and they cannot adorn highly urbanized post-industrial environment. The new practices, by losing their commercial postulate, make the elitist centers of commercial and political power step away. A visual artist is, for the first time in history, due to the circumstances, independent. He does not have to please or to serve the interests of the oligarchy. Perhaps a time organization is being born with which the visual artist will be able to finally independently oppose the society, take the advantage of the infinitely vast field of freedom, non-questionable at the ideological level. In his research, he can move vertically and horizontally through the history of styles, reinterpret and quote them without identifying with them. The only limits to the space of this limitless space are in his imagination. If I conclude, in the case of the contemporary art production, often bordering the era of scientific researchers, there are numerous questions arising, providing no simple answers. Like, those questions are like, how does the creative process unfold at the cross-section of science and art? For example, why does an artist research out for scientific modern methods? And where, if at all, does the border between art and science end, and the field of science being, and vice versa? Thank you.